Imagine eating the best meal of your life. You sit back in your chair and exhale with content at the masterpiece that you just consumed. Then the server offers you the option of dessert. You could give it a try, and it might be fine, but why risk the possibility of the meal being anything less than perfect by adding to it once you're already full? That's sort of the point that Marvel Studios is at. They're obviously going to keep making superhero movies, but where do you go after Thanos and the Infinity War? The whole thing was so awesome, it's a daunting task to try and top that. If that's even possible. They also can't just give up now because, well, there's billions and billions of dollars to be made. With Phase 3 wrapping up, the Infinity War all but over, and Phase 4 getting underway, we're about to go through a pretty formative transitional period in the MCU. It's time for Marvel to shift gears, as they're essentially starting over from scratch. A slew of characters are now gone, including Iron Man, Black Widow, Captain America, and all the ones that got shipped over to Disney's new streaming platform. It took a decade of build-up to get to a truly epic showdown between the Avengers and Thanos, but now that's all in the rearview mirror. Thanos has been thwarted. It's time for someone else to take his place. Replacing Thanos as the main villain in the MCU won't be an easy task, but there's one fascinating way they could go about it that would be extremely new and fresh. After all, you can't just replace Big Perp with another equally as powerful, or more likely less powerful bad guy, especially with that fancy glove of his. He was pretty much as awesome and as powerful as it gets. A new bad guy couldn't be similar to him in any capacity because they'd lose that comparison. So it needs to be someone different from Thanos. Well, what about, like, a regular old human? Like, just a really smart, really evil dude who, rather than use superpowers and magic rocks to destroy planets, is just a master manipulator. There's where your boy Norman Osborn comes into play. It would really shake things up and turn the MCU on its head if things went from a gigantic galactic titan to kind of a shady businessman.
It's business time.
If you're unfamiliar with the name Norman Osborn, you might know him better as the Green Goblin, one of Spider-Man's greatest adversaries from the comics. He's one of the most feared Marvel baddies of all time, even beyond just Spider-Man territory. And he's a heck of a lot more than just an angry dude with some smoke bombs and a cool glider. He's kind of like an evil version of Tony Stark, a brilliant businessman who's obsessed with advanced technology and weaponry. In fact, we may have already caught glimpses of him in the MCU.
What?
In Spider-Man Homecoming, which was released in 2017, right dab in the middle of Phase 3, Tony Stark sells Stark Towers, also known as Avengers Tower. While there's no definitive confirmation, fans everywhere are sure that that building's new tenant is Oscorp, Norman Osborn's company. Not only would Osborn get a big, shiny building, but the film stresses the fact that the move out was a rushed one. With Tony now completely out of the picture, it's an ideal time for Norman to slide on in. Aside from the tower, there's another subtle Easter egg that you may have missed. In 2018's Ant-Man and the Wasp, the villainous Sonny Birch is hell-bent on acquiring Hank Pym's shrinking technology for his client, the Benefactor. We never meet his anonymous employer, but we do know that Birch is willing to pay a pretty penny, as well as go through some pretty extreme lengths to make his client happy. Which yet-to-be-revealed character would be willing to spend a fortune to acquire some wild advanced technology? He may not have appeared on screen yet, but his impression has definitely been felt already. So how does Marvel actually move forward with this guy as the main villain of Phase 4? Well, the general consensus is that Marvel's next phase will focus on the comic's Secret Invasion storyline. This would make sense, as it's a fantastically compelling story that would take years to properly tell, and Norman Osborn is right at the center of it. It's tough to predict exactly when and where he'll make his big debut. It could absolutely not happen in Spider-Man Far From Home, but even if he does make an appearance,
He doesn't.
it probably would be in a very limited capacity, kind of like a teaser. Following Far From Home, we know that the only other movies Marvel has plans to produce this year are a Black Widow prequel and the Eternals movie. Odds are Norman Osborn doesn't quite factor into either of those. For those who aren't familiar, the Secret Invasion focuses on a Skrull invasion of Earth that transpires undercover over decades. That's where 2019's Captain Marvel factors into this. They already introduced the Skrull in that movie, and did so in a timepiece that took place several decades ago. Sorry to break it to you, Marvel fans, but the Secret Invasion already started. They could be walking among you right now. So how does Osborn factor into all of this?
Tell me how!
Norman Osborn helps the good guys do battle against the Skrull invaders, and actually helps Earth thwart off their pesky opponents. In doing so, he's rewarded by being appointed the new head of S.H.I.E.L.D., which then changes to Hammer. By helping the good guys, he gains a lot of legitimate credibility and power within the public and within the government. That's when it's revealed that he was a villain the whole time, and the Skrulls are not only still around, but have actually taken over the bodies and personalities of many of Earth's top heroes. Donning the armor of the Iron Patriot, geez, this guy really is obsessed with Tony Stark, isn't he? He serves as the leader of the Dark Avengers. In fact, Marvel has already confirmed that a Dark Avengers movie is in the pipeline for a future release. If the Secret Invasion is happening, and the Dark Avengers is happening, then there's no way those things go down without Norman Osborn involved. Much like the majority of the past decade is focused on the Infinity Stones and Thanos' quest to obtain them all, the future of the MCU will focus on an alien Skrull invasion, and Norman Osborn playing everyone involved like he's on Big Brother.
Shut up!
Out and out, Lord!
Shut up!
Nobody shut up! You shut up!
Shut up!
Need even more proof? Well, notorious Twitter user and information leaker Roger Wardell revealed in some now deleted tweets that Phase 4 will focus on Norman Osborn. Now, it should be noted that Wardell's identity is unknown, and his or her tweets come from an anonymous Twitter account, so you may want to take any information with a grain of salt. However, pretty much everything the account has ever leaked has come true, so it's a surprisingly trustworthy source. For all we know, it's the head of the MCU, Kevin Feige, making these posts to build up buzz and speculation. Well, Kevin, it's working. We're talking about it. Are you happy? According to other leaks, Marvel recently put out a casting call for the role of the Benefactor. They're looking for a, quote, preferably Caucasian male actor aged between 40 and 60 to play a mysterious and nefarious benefactor. Geez, where are you gonna find something like that in Hollywood? The casting call doesn't mention the name Norman Osborn or the Green Goblin, but this one seems obvious. So who could they get to fill the role? If he's gonna be the main villain of the MCU for the foreseeable future, it needs to be someone who's willing to be involved in the storyline for the next several years. Osborn has a devilish charm to him, and the actor playing the role has to be able to pull off a convincingly smart and successful businessman while also seeming trustworthy. He's got to find a balance between sophistication and intimidation, with an underlying vibe of dastardly wickedness.
Hey, Paul!
Plus, it needs to be someone who doesn't already play a character in the MCU, which actually narrows it down big time, seeing as every major actor's already in the MCU. Roger Wardell tweeted that Marvel is considering The Walking Dead's David Morrissey. He'd probably be pretty good. Although, Marvel loves to get recognizable names to fill their villain roles. There's also been rumors that Colin Farrell is on Marvel's radar. He was reportedly considered for the role of Doctor Strange, so we know that his number is already in their Rolodex. That's a reference that doesn't withstand the test of time. He meets all the criteria, and I bet he's eager to redeem himself in the eyes of comic book fans after playing Bullseye in 2003's Daredevil. Yeesh. Then there's Tom Hanks, who should always be considered for every role in every movie. Casting directors might be worried about such a beloved man pulling off a villainous role, but to that I say, it's Tom Hanks. If anyone could be Norman Osborn and Woody from Toy Story, it's this guy. And he wants the part real bad, too. In a 2013 interview, he expressed his desire to play a bad guy in a superhero movie, saying,
They don't ask me, man. I keep trying to... Come on.
He went on to add, quote, God, I just want to throw a shield at somebody. I want that. And I don't want to play the guy in the suit who tells the superheroes what's going on. I don't want to be that guy. Well, I think it's time that we start the hashtag Give Hanks a Chance movement. There's a number of other names that fit the bill. Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Leo DiCaprio, Ryan Gosling, even John Hamm. Hollywood has no shortage of talented middle-aged white men. They could even nab up Keanu Reeves, who's pretty much the hottest commodity in the world right now, and the consensus best guy on the planet.
You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking.
Or they could just stick to what we know works and bring back good old Willem Dafoe. He was fantastic, so if it ain't broke, why break it?
So really, you say...
Oh God, Harold, are you okay?
Actually, I didn't have it locked.
What are your thoughts? How do you see Norman Osborn fitting into the MCU, and who do you want to see play the role? Leave your thoughts in the comments section down below, and I promise to take a look. Before you go, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on all our latest releases. Until next time, bye!